Hello, hockey friends and families around the world, and welcome to another edition of Our Kids Play Hockey, powered by NHL Sense Arena. I'm Lee Elias with Mike Benelli and Christie Burns, and our guest today is the Director of Youth Hockey Programs and Fan Development for the Vegas Golden Knights. You can't say that name normally. You got to put it in with a little bit of the Vegas Golden Knights. And as you can imagine, she is a hockey lifer with 19 years logged as a player, including seasons with the Minnesota State University in the NCAA and 10 years of coaching, which also brought her to the NCAA ranks. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Sheri Hudspeth to the show today. Sheri, welcome to Our Kids Play Hockey.
Hi, guys. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
It is a good morning. We should note you are out there on the West. You are doing this early. We always appreciate this on a Monday morning, nonetheless. Sheri, I know that working in the NHL it's a lifelong dream for you. You've been wanting to do it your whole life, but let's start at the origin point. How did you find hockey, or more aptly, how did hockey find you?
Oh, well, I'm Canadian. I'm from.
It's always a simple answer. Everybody knows what you mean by that.
Yeah, I'm Canadian. You can't miss it. It's on our passports. It was on our currency. It's in the commercials. I grew up, in Aurora, Ontario. So everyone around me, my dad played, my grandfather played, my uncles, my brothers, like everyone played hockey. So it's just pretty natural for me to want to play hockey, and had a lot of guy friends in school, and we had hockey in school, like in our curriculum. So
wow.
Something you really couldn't miss. And it was just something I always just took to and loved. So wanted to be, my dad played, he used to take me to Westwood Arena, and I used to watch his men's league when I was a little girl. So I always just kind of, I guess, looked up to my dad and wanted to be like him and play hockey.
That's cool. And tell us about your journey. So, I mean, the job that you have now sounds amazing. And was that a lifelong dream of yours to work, at the level that you're at?
I mean, yes, it is a dream job. Great title, great job. I probably have one of the best jobs in the NHL. There's not a lot of roles like the one I have because it is a hybrid role. I have on-ice programming and I have off-ice stuff in the community. So it's really cool. It's never really a boring day. It wasn't something I ever aspired to, that I wanted to work in the NHL. It just kind of, I think, happened naturally in the way kind of my path fell through coaching and the stops along the way. I ended up here. I actually came here for 12U girls hockey. So I was coaching girls hockey here. And then I became the director of the girls program here. And then in July, I moved into this role, which is underneath the marketing umbrella.
So, Sheri, hockey in Vegas has a longer history than I think people realize. They were doing outdoor games there well before the Winter Classic. It's always been somewhat of a destination for the game for lots of different reasons, I'll just say. But it's fortified now for more reasons than one, not to mention a Stanley Cup, but 2 Stanley Cup runs, obviously, and then just being really a dominant force in the NHL. I think for the better. And again, for those of you listening to the show, not watching, Sheri proudly has the Golden Knights logo on her jacket, on the wall. I have been so impressed by this franchise, no matter what anybody thinks. I mean, Vegas is here and it's a hockey town. There's just no way to look at it. Tell us about the recent years and having to, is grow the game the right term, or is expanding the game? Because again, it wasn't new to Vegas in terms of hockey being there, but the franchise is. How has that process gone?
So yeah, it's definitely a hockey town, and I don't think people understand how small Vegas is. Right. You see that the big city, millions of people, tourists, that sort of thing. That the people that actually live here, we don't live on the Strip. We live pretty normally, and I think people have really taken to the Vegas Golden Knights. It's a Vegas-born team. We're the first team here. It's the city's team, and we do a lot for the community, and I think the community supports us, because of that. So when you go to the games, it is a lot of locals. It's not tourists. This is our team. We're very proud Nevadans here that have, a great team and they get behind their team. So we have had hockey here. I moved here in 2021, but in the 90s, I believe there was the Las Vegas Wranglers, so we've had hockey here for a long time. So people liked it, but the pro hockey, like when the Knights came in, that's when it really, really exploded. And I think opened the door, now for other sports with Major League Baseball, hopefully NBA, F1, all the stuff that we have here is because of the Knights and Mr. Foley, taking the chance and putting the team here, and it took off. And I think it's changing, sports in America is Vegas, what we've done here. So, yeah. So,
but you say a lot of locals go there, but if you go to a pregame show, that would rival any show on the Strip. What a production team you
yeah,
folks
so
have.
what's interesting here, right? Like in Vegas, you have a lot of shows. There's headliners every night. There's concerts. There's theaters. There's a lot of ways that people can spend their money, and not everyone. Like if you are a tourist and you don't like hockey, people have heard of our show, and it is a Vegas show on the Strip. And when you come to it, it's just like the in-game entertainment is incredible. We try to have the best fan experience in the league. And just make something for everyone. Like I do mites at night during the intermission. We have kids activations out on the plaza, out on the rink. We have a kids club. We have stuff now with Maverick. We really have something for everyone. And then just the show is something I can't even explain. Like you just need to see it. And for playoffs, we double like whatever we did. We just had a huge dragon and the drum bots and the show is just something you really need to see. It's a spectacle, and I'm so proud to work here and work with the people in this facility. Like everyone's so talented at what they do. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, you guys are always pushing the envelope. Is there a massive production team putting this show on?
Nope, you'd be surprised. You would be surprised at how young they are, how talented they are. They're just a really tight knit group in production, and their slogan that I love is called "Unapologetically Us." So
That's so true.
They do push the envelope. They try new things. That's a nice thing about here. We are kind of, now we're in 7th year, but we are a startup. So we do have the freedom to try stuff, and maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Like we have a lot of brainstorming where it's like, what if we did this? Let's do it. Let's try it, right? And we love pushing the envelope. We love being different. And I think with the NHL, a lot of stuff is like a copycat league where people just want to copy stuff. We don't want to copy anyone. We want to make our own stuff. I want to do everything differently. I think everyone has the same mindset as how can we do this better, bigger, in Vegas. So yeah, it's an honor to just be able to have that freedom and creativity across all departments.
You guys definitely have that title.
Yeah, I'll add on to that too. That not to NHL fan out for a second here, but in a league where kind of being humble and being a little less loud might be the norm for some teams. You are unapologetically Vegas. I mean, there's no way around it. When you go there, it's just as exciting as anything else going on there, if not more exciting if you're a hockey fan. I've been there during hockey season. I mean, it's infectious. And again, this is a great example. I always talk about identity when I do team building. This is an organization. Well, I love that you called yourself a startup because you're not wrong, but I never thought of Vegas that way. But this is a team that understands their identity and they're embracing it. Yeah. Vegas also a huge military destination with bases out there. There's a town, a lot of you don't know, there's a town called Henderson out there that's where a lot of the residents live. So yeah, it's a huge community out there. And of course it's also a pretty cool draw. If you're a fan of any other team of, hey, let's go to Vegas and see our team play the Golden Knights. Yeah. It doesn't take much convincing. You know what I mean? I'm thinking about that in my head. Like it's if anything, you'd want to play some series when you guys get your baseball team eventually. Keeping it on hockey though. Before we dive into kind of what you do with kids in the area, I was reading your bio, and 2023 was a pretty extraordinary year for you for multiple reasons. You had a Stanley Cup championship. You also had a rivalry series in Henderson with the Canadian U.S. national teams. Yeah. I don't want to give too much of the story away, but can you walk us through both those events and maybe even try to express what it's like to win a Stanley Cup? I know that's not possible, but man, what a year. That's amazing. And you got to drop a ceremonial puck at this game in Henderson as well.
Incredible that it was the same year because it was December 2022 for the rivalry series, which was an honor to host here between Canada and US. Got to drop the puck.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it is the same. It's the same season though, right? So even though it's not 2023, it's the same hockey season. So got to drop the puck. We had a lot of girls activations throughout the whole week. So it was funny because that weekend before the Sunday, we were in Austin, Texas for the Can-Am with the 12U girls. We won that tournament. Flew back Monday. We had the activations with the national team, like with Kendall Corn. A lot of the U.S. Players came out on the ice, and we did a girls' skills clinic. The next day, we did a try hockey for free, all girls. With a lot of the players came out again on Tuesday at City National Arena. Then the game, I think, was on Thursday. So we did. We had 100 girls in our organization. Vegas Golden Knights purchased tickets. It was over $10,000 of tickets for every girl in our organization to sit along the glass, right? Like I wanted them I wanted them, one, to be seen on camera on TSN, what we're doing here in their Vegas jerseys as support, but I also wanted those girls to be able to see hockey of that caliber and the parents to sit up close, right? Like, we don't have women's hockey in Vegas. Like, we can see the men practice every day. We can see the games. We don't see how fast the women are. So it was really important to have the girls up close, seeing these people, and then the touch points with the girls' activations. We included everyone in our organization that we could. If you're a registered female player under our umbrella, whether it's Henderson here, you were invited to these activations. So very, very special and impactful for our girls' growth. And then the game, we did so all the girls at the game, we did a handshake line, we dropped the puck, we had the Vegas Junior Golden Knights on the blue line for the anthem with the players. It was just, for me, I was just running around the entire game because we had junior nights, we had house league girls, we had learn to play girls, just different groups. And I was just running around like crazy, but we got through it all cleanly. Excellent game. And then it was kind of funny at the end, they wanted me to present the trophy if US won. And I'm Canadian, so yeah, so big fan, because obviously we did the activations all week. I'm friends with a lot of the U.S. players, the U.S. director, Katie Million, and so great honor that they asked me to do that. But part of me still was like, oh no, I don't want to present, because it's like my best friend growing up was on the bench as the equipment manager, and I was like, I cannot give this to Americans in front of my friends, like. But then also grateful for the Americans. So I try to stay pretty neutral. I've been in the States like 20 years, in Canada in 20 years. So I try to just support the game overall, but I don't want to pick a team. So I was lucky that I didn't have to present that trophy, as much of an honor as it would have been. And then, so that was the rivalry series. It's pretty neat. Like, I do a lot with female ambassadors here, trying to get, when we do girls skills clinics, to have Olympians come in, and we always do autograph sessions at the end. And we had Megan Bozak here, and she was here for our Toyota high performance camp, but a girl brought the poster from the rivalry series. Like, she kept it, for Megan to sign, and just seeing stuff like that, where you do get through to kids, and they keep the posters of the women's hockey and bring it to do that. So very cool. So that was the rivalry series. And then same year, our Stanley Cup final run, which is unbelievable. I wouldn't even know where to start on that. So being part of that is something bigger than I could even put into words. Like, working through the playoff run, I think, is incredible experience with an NHL franchise. Maybe, a lot of people don't get to go through that whole process, and how intense it is, and how, like, you have to pivot and be on your toes, and you don't know if you're going to play the next game. Oh, we're playing. Okay, we're preparing for success here always. So we are always planning, like, as far as marketing, you have to have towels, t-shirts, hats, like all that stuff, but you don't know if you're going to make it through to the next round, but you still have to plan as though you are. So that, I learned a lot professionally working through that time. It was very intense. And then, all the activations, and then people are trying to get guests and sirens, all that stuff I learned a lot during that time. And then obviously, so the run was kind of weird. I'm a lifelong NHL fan, and you love your team, but you get an opponent, and then you don't know if you're going to get past that opponent. It's like, oh, okay, Edmonton. Oh, that's going to be very hard. And then you get past Edmonton. It's like Winnipeg. Oh no, Whiteouts. And then you get past them, and you're like, okay, this is really happening. But it got all the way to Florida. And I remember seeing my boss during the second period of the game, and we were up. Like, I don't remember what it was, but it was like like we were up. And this is like looking like it's really going to happen, but he's a hockey guy too. And I looked at him, and we both looked at each other like, don't say anything. Like, it was the same, like, intense look, like, this is like, we're both like, this is happening, but don't jinx it. Like, don't say anything, like a shutout. And we just looked at each other, and then we ended up winning 9-3, and the building exploded, and confetti came out, and I was crying. Like, my whole row was our hockey directors and stuff. We're crying. Like, grown men, these guys are crying, hockey guys, right? Because it's just like, can't believe this even happened. And then, celebration on the ice, and they had celebration upstairs, and just, I don't know. Then you do the parade, right? Like, the parade is the craziest thing that I've ever seen in my life. Like, I've always, whenever I watched hockey, like, I grew up a Leaf fan, and watching the Stanley Cup finals my entire life. And I always stayed to the end of the game, where you see them celebrating in the locker room, and like on TSN, they'll show it for another half an hour or something. And my dad would always be like, oh, they're going to party tonight. Like, he would say that every single year. And getting to see that, what happens, you know, after that half an hour, like getting to see the whole
part
night.
of it. You were part of it, right? Like you just
Part
see
of
it.
it,
You're
yeah.
part of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We had the
Yeah.
cup and the ice and being included in that, and just remember hearing my dad say, "Oh, they're gonna party tonight." It's like, oh, yeah.
So did you party that night?
Oh yeah.
She's still
Yes.
partying.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Hey Dad,
absolutely.
I'm partying tonight.
I was partying the whole day. Like I did towels
That's
at 11
right.
o'clock. I partied the whole day until. So yeah, and then it's incredible. I don't think what people know is what goes with the win, right? It's not over that night. It's with you for the whole year, as far as like retail and activations and stuff that you get to do, and celebrating the win. Our VGK road trip, you know, you celebrate it with our whole TV market for an entire year, you know, and you have your the parade. We had 250,000 people come out for the parade, which we had to do at night because it was June, right? It's so hot. So doing it at night and seeing the marquees lit up in gold with the players, and it was just incredible. Something I don't know if they showed it on TV, like I don't know, but just an incredible thing to be a part of. That I hope I get to do it again, and it's so incredible.
You know, one thing I do want to ask. So, and this is a unique position for us to have you on the show, especially kind of so close to this Cup championship. A lot of NHL fans can make newer team, you know, ridiculous, like just kind of dismiss it, which is ridiculous. That is ridiculous to begin with. You win. All right. But talk to me about those young girls and those young boys in the youth hockey and what this must have meant to them, because we have to remember, especially everybody listening, there was no team here 7 seasons ago, right? The hockey was not represented the way it is now. Can you walk through what it meant to the kids? I know there's no way for you to express what it means to the adults, right? Is there even a way to express it to the kids?
Well, like here, like our growth is exploding. I think that's only going to help. The cool thing that I just took the 10U girls to the Winter Classic, right? And we played against the Seattle Kraken 10U girls. But awesome. You start realizing that this generation now, these kids that are 9U, 10U, these kids are Vegas born. Like they came through our NHL Learn to Play, they came through our Little Knights, and they came through our house league, and now they're Vegas Junior Golden Knights. And we're starting to get this generation that grew up as Vegas Golden Knights fans, right? Like they're not Colorado fans or, you know, Anaheim or LA. They are Junior Knights, like Learn to Play. So I think that's really special. And the Cup, I don't know if the kids know, right? Like it's not like they grew up in a Toronto where it's like you're starved to get in, you finally win. You know, these kids have only known winning. So I don't
right.
They have, right? Like the first year they're winning, and they're always a good team. And
the other 31 teams fans just groaned. I just want you to know that.
Yeah, no, I don't mean it to be arrogant or anything. But
no, you're not. You're not.
Like growing up in Toronto, where you don't win every year, and you have good teams, and it's like you haven't, like I've not seen a Cup in my lifetime with the Toronto Maple Leafs, unfortunately. Right. You know, but here I've been very fortunate to be part of, you know, the Cup. And so getting back to the kids is with the Vegas Junior Golden Knights, with the Learn to Play, with Little Knights, everything is branded VGK, you know, and all their little T-shirts and hats and their sticks that they get in the school system, it's all branded VGK. So I think we do a pretty good job of, you know, kids development, fans development, and then it translates into your youth hockey registration. So yeah, like our youth hockey here is exploding.
It is exploding, but I got to ask you grew up in Toronto. Obviously, there's so much access to rinks.
Yeah.
You've got to have some limitations there in Vegas. And plus, is your job developing a fan base? Are you going into schools? Because, you know, you don't have a ton of rinks to go to try and, you know, develop the fan base.
Yep. So we have a program through NV Energy. It's a sponsored program. It's their school physical education program. So in the first year when Vegas came here, before they even had the hockey and the rinks were being built, they went intentionally into all the schools and provided them with sticks and curriculum and programming for them to have hockey in the school. So that was like our first piece of community fan development before we even hit the ice. And then now, so we're 7 years later, I'm going back and we're trying to refresh sticks. Like we're trying to go back to the schools, clean up their equipment, because now like they play outside on courts. So we have to, you know, clean that up. The sticks get kind of whittled down, and you need new equipment. So always staying on top of that. But with the NV Energy school program, it's really fun. We go visit schools. We take chance. It's co-branded with our Henderson Silver Knights, our AHL team. and we take the mascot Lucky and Chance, as well as some cast like our Knights Guard and Vivas and myself, and we go do hockey clinics, and we provide them with an equipment donation. They have it in their PE curriculum, so we try to go on their championship day and just make it like way more fun, like best day with the Knights for them. And then after that, without the teachers knowing, I think that's the pretty funnest part. We just go chaotic through the school, and we go in classrooms, like they'll be teaching like full on lessons, and we just crash like the door with Chance and Lucky, and we draw no homework on the board with Chance, and everyone's like, yeah, like.
See, now all those groans just turn to like, come on, I want that.
Yeah,
Envy.
no homework. It's like, yes, we are your favorite hockey team. Go home, watch us. So
the teachers gotta love that. No homework.
Yeah, no, sometimes they don't. No, but the teachers, yeah, they take just as many photos as the kids with Chance.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's really fun.
I was going to say, in 20 years, two things are going to happen. There's going to be a very disgruntled teacher going, well, those Knights came to the class and ruined it. I never got to. And then at the same time, some kid who grew up with a VGK on their chest is going to be in the NHL.
Right.
Right. Because this is a generational build. We saw it out of, I'll just say, Arizona and teams that were there. You can see it out of California. This is a generational macro viewpoint that you have to have when developing a team. And look, winning a cup helps tremendously. You can look at any young team that won a cup. It's not limited to Vegas, right? Like Philadelphia Flyers did this early on in their time period, and other teams. Colorado Avalanche did it in their first season, right? So hockey works in a lot of different facets.
Let's bring in our silent partner here, Mike.
Who is Mike? Mike's here. Mike is Mike. Like he's smiling.
No, I love. This is great.
About floorball hockey here.
Wake up, Mike.
You, baby.
Yeah, they have a great program out there. I mean, that's the kind of. I mean, that's really the key, right? Is to get into these communities, and using the NHL's mantra that everything is hockey. You don't need to have ice. You don't need to have skates. I think them, obviously growing the sport, I guess it's a whole different way of looking at it, right? You're growing the sport to get people in the building, but you're also growing the sport because you can influence kids because they love sport. They love a winning team, and I think Lee mentioned a little earlier about the military piece of the town, but what I'd like to hear, Sheri, is just a little bit of the influence of the Vegas Golden Knights are a product of a West Point grad, right? And I think the Florida Panthers are the same way. And I had the fortune of being behind the scenes with the Panthers for a little while when they changed ownership groups, and just looking at how the culture changed and it was used. Can you tell a little bit about, from the youth hockey perspective of where you're at, about what that influence is from that leadership piece of West Point and the focus on maybe how does that transition into your workday?
Yeah, so kind of two pieces. One with the business office, with the leadership and the people that are hired here in our culture. So biggest thing with Mr. Foley is it's a we, not me ego approach. Even though we won the cup, it's like we are still educating fans. They want us to be like day one, right? Like there's no team here. We had to go into the community and beat down doors and be like, hey, we have a hockey team here. We want to keep that same mindset. You don't want to be arrogant or have a big ego like we won a cup. It's like, don't talk to me, I work in the NHL. It's like, no, we still have to educate fans and be like day one and try to just create a fan out of every single person you see. So there comes from that. And then we have a Knights code in the office, and there's signs, like in hockey locker rooms where it says like commitment, dedication, that sort of thing. So our office is kind of like a hockey locker room where it has the Knights codes saying around the office. And so that trickles into your leadership. I mean, some of them are like, the biggest one is, it's like, one of them, it says, like hockey, community is a contact sport. So the biggest thing, Mr. Foley was into the community before there was even hockey here. So for us, being in the community is, I think, number one important for us. So that's like that. Some of the things like just, support your line mates. Our office people are called line mates. They're not departments, not like they did this. It's like we're all one team, we're line mates, we all work together. A big one is ignore the naysayers. There's a lot of naysayers of stuff that we're doing. We're very visible company, so try to do that, and just yeah, just play fast, finish your checks, stuff like that. That's all around the office. So that trickles into leadership. And then obviously it's going to trickle down into everything that you do as part of your workday. And for me, my workday includes working with kids. So we need to just, be out there in the community and play fast, finish our checks, and do as much as we can for as many people as we can, and try to grow the game and grow our brand.
Yeah, I think when we talk to fan development people around the league, it's always the thing that goes unnoticed. I think, and you're hitting on it a little bit, and you're without having ego about it, but it is a lot of on the ground work. It's a lot of it sounds glamorous, right? But it's going to classrooms and being energized and having that 9 a.m. practice with a whole new group of new kids and making them feel like it's the best experience they're ever going to have. Those are really, really hard things to do, especially, the longer you do it. But I think you had mentioned about, how young a lot of the people on the staff are, that's infectious. And, and I think it's contagious, and people are like, wow, these people got so much great energy. And I think you're seeing it, just from a fan's perspective, watching it on TV. You feel that energy, which is, you don't get that everywhere. I've been around a lot of league. Some people are very polished and very proper. And then you have, the programs that you could tell are fighting on the edge. And, your social media stuff is fantastic and things like that. So all of that, I think, really just flows into, the brand itself.
Yeah, we are like pretty young and passionate. I think everyone that works here, if you're in this office, you're talented no matter what you do. And it's real, like I think it's West Coast, and it fits me really good. I couldn't work, I think, at some of the East Coast clubs where it's very corporate and putting a suit on and going to work every day and getting dressed and hair and makeup. It's like I'm on the ice or I'm in a school. Like we're just very casual and comfortable. And I think like in an environment like that, you can do your best work. Like if you're comfortable, you're not, and you have the freedom to work like and be your like kind of authentic self versus trying to be someone you're not and being corporate and speaking a certain way. And yeah, it's just, I think it's great here.
Well, I hope
That's awesome.
a lot of managers out there are listening to this, because there's a few things I'm taking away from what you're saying. We talk almost every episode now. We talk about the ROI of youth hockey and what is it? And it's not going to college. It's not playing pro. It's the life skills that you develop along the way of not just adversity for yourself, but working with other people, being part of a team. And I love that the Vegas Golden Knights are applying that to the office work as well. You're a team. And look, I'm not going to go on a soapbox here. This is something I think we need to see more in America, in corporate America, right?
I feel like is it more of a West Coast thing though, where it's like more relaxed? Like if you go to clubs in California and stuff, are we more relaxed, like in polos, maybe due to the
West Coast, absolutely.
But like,
definitely. Yeah.
But it just the nature of, hey, we're one team, right? And we work together towards a common goal. But yes, you're absolutely right. It is a West Coast thing.
We might get a Friday where it's business casual.
You can wear jeans on a Friday. Yeah. Today you can wear jeans to work.
That's it.
But
yeah.
But we can all learn.
I wouldn't thrive in that environment. You could be the same person, have the same passion, but it's like, I think if you're not comfortable, I think a lot goes for that. Like,
there's a misconception on the East that you need to suffer to do hard work. And
that's right.
It's not true, unfortunately. Sheri, we're privileged to interview so many powerful women in the game on this show. We know that we have a lot of parents with daughters who play the game and listen to the show too. I'd love for you to speak to all of our hockey families, boys and girls, about how we all play a role in making hockey for everyone.
Right. And weave in there too your thoughts on the Professional Women's Hockey League too. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Well, so I grew up, my background is in girls and women's hockey, right? So I lived it. So I know what I liked and what I didn't like and what things I would like to see. And I think everything just draws from just my experience as a girl growing up in hockey and not being able to play sometimes, or just different stuff that happened in the 90s. So I always take that experience and just apply it and try to make things better for girls here. And one of the things with girls hockey, I know like there's a lot of conversation on, but like I feel like with girls hockey, you don't have to have pink helmets and purple helmets and pink jerseys and stuff. Like I like with Vegas Junior Golden Knights, everything is the same as the boys. Like we have the same jerseys, same helmets, same everything, and it's cool, right? Like girls hockey has to be cool. It doesn't have to be different or anything different than the boys. Like if you're going to have a son playing, make sure the girl has the exact same equipment, the same $300 stick that he gets, like same jerseys. Like they don't need a pink helmet, you know? So I've always tried to just make it really cool. And you want girls to one, get into hockey and stay in hockey. So if there is girls programming, and that's something we're working on, we're still pretty new, is girls programming where girls can play with other girls and make friends and be comfortable and, you know, dance in the locker room with girls, and it's fun, then they'll want to come back and want to stay in the game. And then one of the other pieces that's really helped our growth here is having female ambassadors come in. So the NHL allows us some grant funding where we can bring in, like we've had Megan Keller come here, Megan Bozak. We just had Angela James was here. One player that I played with, Sherry Piper, she's a director with Hockey Canada. She came in, and having female role models and having them meet them, skate with them, talk to them, ask questions. We do panels. That's been very impactful. And now with our 14U girls team, they just won a national championship. But those girls are really starting to believe, like, yeah, there's a path for me. I can play college hockey. Now I get it. Like we won a national championship for girls hockey. And when they hear Megan talk or Megan Keller talk, now they're starting to believe it and see it. And it's happening here. So, I mean, it's going to take a little time to get there, but we're getting there for girls hockey. So yeah, it's cool.
It is good to see.
PWHL, we obviously do not have in Vegas, but we had the rivalry series. But now my little 10U girls, you know, 10Us, 12Us, even 14Us, they're starting to see that there is, you know, a path for you, a real path where it's like, yeah, you can play pro hockey just the same as the boy. Like if they see, you know, Vegas Golden Knights, they see Jack Eichel, it's like, okay, well, you can be Megan Keller, you know? So that is really special. And I just saw, like, we do a really good program here. We're going into our second year. It's called Bauer Empowered with VGK. I don't know if you've seen that. But we're starting that May 25th, and we have Caroline Harvey and Layla Edwards are coming here to help us kick that off with Bauer Hockey. So we're getting 30 new girls into hockey that have never played before.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and they get all the equipment. Bauer donates all the equipment. We have athletes here, and they do an 8-week program of girls that have never played, so brand new USA Hockey registrations. And yeah, so it's the PWHL. Where I'm going with that is yeah, like I can say, hey, you can play pro now, right? Like there is a path for you, and it looks like it's going really well in Canada. Like it's really popping off in Canada.
Yeah,
they're drawing good crowds,
massive crowds, NHL crowds.
Yeah, it's cool, really cool.
I always like to reiterate the fact that, you know, it can be very easy for certain people to just say, well, what's the big deal? You know, it's always been there. The truth is this: you have to understand. I always say this: you have to understand. Sometimes you're not going to understand what it is to be somebody else, and that you might not be in a position where, or these people might not be in a position where they've seen this before until you see someone doing it, right? Like if you're a young girl, until you see a woman hockey player in front of 20,000 fans, you've never seen that before. All of us, it's true. And it makes it possible, right? The other thing too is that I think this is really cool. This is one of the cooler stories I saw this week. You know, when I was young growing up and you took a basketball, you took a three or a jump shot, you'd say Jordan or Kobe. And now young boys are saying Caitlin Clark, right? Yeah. And I think that's a really cool thing that's starting to change. It has been a banner year for women's sports, and I really hope that it's only going to go up from here, right? Something has changed. Nobody can seem to put their finger on what has changed, but for the first time in my life, you're seeing equal, if not more airtime and more onus on women's sports, which is the way it should have always been, right?
You just nailed it, is that you're seeing it, right? You're getting it on TV, you're getting TV contracts. Like that was missing, right? You're not seeing it on TV, and now you are. Here we have Las Vegas Aces, back-to-back WNBA championships. Right. Those guys pack barn, and they're cool, and they're actually going to the Caitlin Clark game here on the 25th against the Aces.
Everyone's going to the Caitlin Clark game this year, no matter where she's at.
Yeah. But it's like that you can see it, that you could see the Caitlin Clark game, that you even know who she is because that college basketball for women's sports was televised. Right. And it wasn't before. So it's like, yeah, there's probably been a lot of women athletes across all sports that you could never see. So they never even had a chance to build their name or get that same following. And Asia is getting a shoe deal now too with Nike, and the promotion that Nike did for Caitlin Clark's campaigns are really cool. And just companies getting behind female athletes. So Yeah, and then the women's hockey, now it's on TV and you're seeing it, it's on social media, it's getting coverage, like it's
Right.
just going to continue to grow. And I know with me personally, like I love watching sports. So I'm not like, oh, I'm going to women's basketball tonight. My Ticketmaster is like, I have nights one night, I have aces another night. I went and watched Lexi Thompson golf here. It's just, I don't know, like not really not really advocating for women's sports, but maybe you just get to the point where it's like you're just going, like you're going to a basketball game that night,
Right.
and it's women's. We have pro women's volleyball here now under our Foley umbrella with the Vegas Thrill. We took our girls to watch the Thrill. The Thrill's doing well here, and just maybe it gets to the point where men and boys and girls families are just like, okay, tonight we're going to basketball, and it's women, men's, and your Ticketmaster's like a combined mix of sports that you're watching.
Well, and to support that, Sheri, it's like in my house, one of the cooler moments this year for me was, it's very easy to watch an NHL game, but it was really cool for my daughter and my son for me to just put on, oh, here's another hockey game, and it was PWHL hockey, right? And nobody went, this is girls hockey.
Yeah,
nobody did that. It was just there's hockey on TV.
You just turn it on.
Right. And I think that's important. I can only speak for myself. I know all of us feel that on this panel here, but I can only speak for us with that. But it's a good change that's happening, and I'm hoping that evolves. One direction I did want to go, because I know we're short on time here. I would have loved it if the Flyers came through my classrooms when I was growing up, wrote no homework on the board.
I was thinking the same thing.
All right. Yeah, I mean, that would be pretty amazing, especially at that time period. We have a lot of hockey directors that listen to the show. We have a lot of coaches that listen to the show. And we always like to ask of our NHL friends the advice that you have for them in youth hockey. And this is any organization, right? Of how we can help grow the game. How can we make our organizations either more fun or more better running? I mean, there's a lot of different ways to look at it. But you're at a peak of a mountain here, right? In terms of your role and what you're doing out there. And I can make the clear distinction, too, that you're doing it in a place that didn't have the game prior, right? So what is your advice to those hockey directors, those coaches, those volunteers to make this game better around the country and the world?
Yeah, it's difficult speaking from Nevada because I think we are in a unique situation. We don't have as many rinks as, say, like a Boston or Minnesota, and we don't have the youth hockey organizations. Like we have Vegas Junior Golden Knights. We have, I think, there's 4 in the state.
Wow.
Right. So
wow.
Yeah. So we work together under NAHA, and our president of NAHA, Darren Elliott, he's with Vegas Golden Knights. So we have a lot of horsepower here with that. And the way we run is a little bit different. And I think advice, maybe, I don't know if it's advice, but the way we start out here is we have a very strong learn to skate. And I think you need to start, the kids need to have skating, right? Like you can't do a try hockey for free and then you're thrown into like whatever cross ice program or half ice or whatever, right? So here our foundation, and we have 3 national championships in 6 years, right? So we're going from nothing to like, these kids are really playing. We have full tier 1 single birth year this year in our 7th year, AAA. So very, very quickly youth development. And I would say that comes from our strong skating academy. We do not shortcut on our skating. They do the U.S. figure skating program. You have to go all the way through. It takes about a year to a year and a half before you're even putting a stick in your hand.
Wow.
Right. So our kids can skate, right? And then you get a stick in their hand, and then you're able to have organized practices. It's not chaos, because when they're 5 and 6 years old, coaching, 50 kids on the ice for a learn to play, it can be very hard on coaches to do that. So if the kids all have the same foundation, they're all graduating at the same time into a learn to play, then they go into a cross ice, then they go into a half ice, and then they're into a full ice by the time they're 8 or 9, right? So our development pathway, we do not shortcut, right? So I think a lot of organizations are just like, we got to pump up. We have to have huge learn to play numbers. Look at our learn to play numbers. They're incredible. Well, yeah, I can put as many kids as I want and learn to play. It doesn't mean that they can skate or actually play hockey, right? So I think we take the actual hockey very seriously, and it starts with skating, your foundation of your base.
Sheri, I'm smiling because one of the beautiful parts of this show is we're all technically hockey journalists on this panel, all right?
Yeah.
And it's really awesome that we get to speak to people all around the country. We were just having a conversation about this, Mike, last week about how it's not about more is better. It's about proper technique.
Yeah.
You have 4 teams in the state. You focused, get this, people, on the fundamental skills, you developed them and created champions out of that. Mike, I have to throw it to you because we talk about this all the time. I mean, this sounds like proof to everything we talk about.
Right. But Sheri has such a unique place there and setting where you're isolated. Like you can control the narrative of all that happening. What happens on the East Coast and certainly in Toronto, right, is when you try to do this, other influences fractures those kids off. But the fact is, you're proving the concept is correct. It's just in a lot of different regions, and I think this is speaking to our audience of coaches and directors and organizers that, creating the model to put kids in and giving them access, and then creating the base of the skill development is more important than fast tracking a player into a $800 Vegas Golden Knights jersey and sweatsuit and bag and stick, and at 6 years old traveling to Phoenix to go play a travel game. So I think that's where, that's for us where the dilemma. One of the reasons we're on this show is that's always been a dilemma that, you just can't speed up development. You just can't say, well, if I put this person on the travel team, they will naturally just get better because they're now on a travel team. And they miss all of the base, I mean, listen, there are, I can name 700 programs right now that wish they had one national championship in their 80 season career. So you're doing it right. I think that's the message. I think that hopefully a lot of people hear is that the base of the program, the first steps program, before they get into a place where they're playing games, you have to. That's the one unique thing about our sport, right? Is you have to be able to skate. Like I know I heard it, like even when Vegas won the cup, there was a lot of at the higher level development, people are like, oh, there, look at the model now. Everybody's going to start following that model. Big, long reaching defensemen and those players that are battle tested. But the one common theme amongst all of them, they can all skate at an elite level. There's no oh, he's a big guy who could just hit. I go, no. They're all elite skaters, number one. And I think that's, so I think when people hear what you're saying about the discipline of keeping players in the model and then allowing them to progress in that model is huge. And I think it's a hard thing on the East Coast because the rink down the road from you is trying to steal that kid just because they don't want to do that work.
Well, this is
so different. I mean, different associations, and then you have your parent groups that are pushing for them to play up, and different associations are going to do stuff the way that maybe it's a private association, maybe it's not, but like there's other associations and they're not doing the stuff the same as VGK is doing it. But that's our philosophy, and that's came from Darren Elliott, and his philosophy is we do not shortcut. You're doing the skating academy, and then you're doing learn to play, and then you're doing cross ice, and then you're doing half ice. You're not getting on the full ice until you've gone through all that. And now this is the first year we're in single birth year AAA Tier 1, like in 7 years. And when I was in Johnstown, Johnstown, when I was there, they had hockey for 55 years. They don't have AAA. So it's like 55 years. What are you guys, what are you doing here? And they're not doing, it's just, it's a board and it's different, and they're not doing the same stuff. Like I've seen different organizations do stuff, and they're getting kids through the Mites hockey, but they can't skate.
Right.
Sheri, I'm rolling up my sleeves here because now
let's go.
you're in my wheelhouse here.
I get you fired up.
You did, and I'll tell you why. Because and this might be like the huge takeaway from today. Unapologetically you, right? You go against the grain. Parents listening to this, okay? And this is not true for every kid in the world, but just please listen. It's on us as parents to go against the grain, to fight that FOMO of the Tier 1 AAA program that your kid, well, of course they want to be on that team. Who doesn't want to be on the best quote unquote team, right? You have to take that responsibility, the best of your ability, right? To put your kids in a position where they can work on these fundamental skills, right? I have this conversation with my kids every day. They're in baseball right now. I tell them, look, hitting that baseball is the hardest thing to do in sports. It's kind of universally agreed upon, right? Fundamentals, working on your swing, working on your mechanics, working on your mobility. Same thing in hockey. You got to work on your skating. And sometimes that's got to be fun. And parents, it's not about forcing your kids into a skating coach. It's about making them understand the value of that. That's the other half of it. You can tell your kids what to do and they'll do it, especially if you force them to do it. But if you can get it in their head, hey, your fundamentals are extremely important. And like reading Rainbow, you don't got to take my word for it. Go on YouTube and listen to any great athlete through history talk about fundamentals, fundamentals, fundamentals. So again, I'm not judging parents here. I'm more or less kind of bringing this to the forefront here of you can take a stand against that training. I'm not saying go to your local organization, tell them to screw themselves. That's not my point. All right. But in God bless you, Mike. All right. That's a little bit of a political game. But you can take your kid to a public session and just skate. You can explain to them why it's so important that you learn to become a better skater. Or my favorite example, what I always use, Sheri, is like, look, the Michigan's a very fun play. I tell my kids all the time, it's creative, it's fun. But even on the game the other night, I can't remember what announcer he said, like it was Brian Boucher said it's an extremely low percentage play, and even in the NHL. And you'd rather see them try something else. If you can Michigan, but cannot take a wrist shot, it's a problem. It's a major problem. All right. And it's like, it's something that we all play a role in. And again, parents, I know it sounds like I'm lecturing. I'm really not trying to. I'm sorry. I am just fired up. I just think we can all do that job together of encouraging our kids in a village mentality of, hey, look, coach wants you to work on skating. Here's why that's important. Right. And most teams do prioritize that, but it's very much, let's get the skating out of the way so we can, work on your 1-3-1.
And they want to push them up, right? But like if you start skating here, we can start skating as early as 3. So you start skating 3, 4, 5, 6 years old.
In Toronto, it's 3 months, right? In Toronto,
yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you got to understand we don't have the access to go skate on lakes and ponds like they do in Minnesota, and they don't flood baseball diamonds here in the winter. Like we don't have that access. So I mean, to win 3 national championships without having any extra ice or access or lakes or ponds or training facilities, NTR rinks, we don't have that. So it's like the testament to the skating academy is like, take your time at 5, 6, 7 years old. Do the skating, right? And then go in the pathway. And then when you're 13, make that AAA team, right? You got to put in the work. And I think too, is the kids, so I see a lot of parents that like want to force kids into playing, like the parents want it more than they do.
That's true.
And, like when I was growing up playing, like I would do rollerblading, street hockey, lakes, ponds, gym class, street hockey, video games, TSN, like watching it. You could not pull me away from hockey. Like the kid has to love it themselves to be able to excel at it. And it's like, if they don't love it and you're forcing them to practice at 6 a.m. or 7 p.m. at night and they don't want to go, it's not for them. Like maybe you're taking them away from, maybe they're a good baseball player, or maybe they're a gymnast, maybe there's something else. But it's like, if they don't want to wait at the door with their stuff, like, Dad, come home for work, I want to go to the rink, then they're not a hockey player. And it's like the kids that really make it through have that natural passion, and it has to be inside you and like want to do it. Otherwise you're just spending money for nothing.
Sheri, I always like to make myself vulnerable on this, and then this will be the last thing I say. Then Christie, I'm going to throw it to you. But my kids, like I said, they're playing baseball right now, and somebody asked, "How's it going?" And I'm a hockey person. I inadvertently just blurted out that my kids weren't around, but like, that's really helping my son with his glove hand, right, as a goalie. And I realized when I said that, like, man, I'm not even thinking about does he like baseball. Right now, he enjoys it, but my brain just naturally said, well, baseball's giving him this hockey skill. And I'm like, it's not fair for me to even put that on him. I want him to enjoy, and my daughter too, the game of baseball or softball. And that's exactly how I portray it to them when I'm around them. Like, hey, how you are enjoying the game? And what's funny is without any pressure, they're both saying to me now, hey, when are we playing hockey again? When are we getting back on the ice again? Which is, I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie, it's music to my ears as a hockey person, but you can see that organically they will make that decision. You cannot force that decision on them. And while they're enjoying softball and baseball, they miss hockey right now. Yeah. And that may change in 5 years, 10 years.
No, that's a really good thing, right? Like, and then also parents with the FOMO and the summer elite spring super
showcase,
quad A. Don't do it, please. Like, take off May, June, July, because the kid's going to say, when can we go back? Right. They're not burnt out when they're 11 years old. They don't have knee injuries when they're 14 years old. Playing baseball, playing soccer, like, be a multi-sport athlete. And that's, it's going to cut down on injuries. It's going to make them want to come back to hockey. And also they're working on their like hand-eye coordination, developing different different parts of their bodies and brains and athletic, life. So I hate seeing parents all year around, because when it does come to the grind of December, January, February, these kids are burnt out because they're playing in August.
And look, I'll just say that Mike and Christy have given me a ton of amazing advice, because I have the youngest kids on the show, and I'm thankful for that. But by far, I think the greatest advice was, Lee, take the spring off. Just take it off, right? And I did that, and I'm telling you, the benefits from that now, 2 seasons, the benefits are super clear. So for those of you parents listening, you can take the spring off. All right, Christy, I won't throw it to you. I know we got to go.
Kids, but for the parents too.
Yes, I needed it too.
Such a nice break.
You know what it's like to wake up on a Saturday and not have anything to do?
Yeah, I think
it's so good.
Yeah, it's tough. I understand it's tough for parents too, when you see like Bobby is doing this camp and Bobby's going here and Bobby's going there. It's like, well, Johnny's in baseball. Shoot, should he be doing that? And I think the FOMO is real, and I understand it for parents, but like in the long run, I think a break is good for them.
Look, I felt it and I fought it, and I'm thankful that I did. I'm not trying to say like, oh, I've done it better than you or anything like that. Like, every family's different, but I'm just saying, in my experience, taking off for the spring not only has been great for all of us, the whole family, but I actually think it has helped them in hockey more than I mean, it hasn't hurt them at all, but it's helped them. Christy, again, we're out of time, but I wanted to give you the final word today.
Oh no, such great advice.
This is a great conversation. I love this.
Yeah. And I had parents reach out to me just a few weeks ago because they're so concerned their kid doesn't want to sign up for the spring hockey league. They want to do karate instead. What should we do? I said, let him do karate. He's going to love it. And you're going to see, when the fall comes around, he's going to be excited about hockey again.
Yeah.
Take a break.
Yeah, it's gotta be fun.
Yeah. Or maybe he'll become a black belt someday. He might want to go
that's
different that's okay. Support your kid.
I know we're trying to wrap this up, but I think that's my my question to everyone is like, well, why are you doing this? All I'm doing this because it's going to help him with hockey. I go, well, why? I don't understand what that even means. Like, it's gonna. How do you know that hockey is what that's what they're gonna be? They're 6. So I think it's a matter of just it helps them be a child and do different things. Of course, the science is telling us that the injuries will be reduced. Of course, we're gonna see that burnout is less. Of course, all those kind of other things. They're gonna meet different friends and use different muscles. But ultimately, it's just be a kid. And as a parent, allow them to be children, and you too allow yourself to be like, wow, I never knew about this, or I didn't, I sit and watch I'm not a tennis player. I didn't grow up as a tennis player, but every Monday I get to go watch, my kids play tennis, and with no expectations that, wow, them using their backhand is really helping them with their torso flexion, and it's going to give them an opportunity to have a better inside edge when they play hockey. It doesn't go through my mind except for right now. And
I'm gonna say it again. It went through my mind, and I had to catch myself. I was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing, man?" Well,
in the back of his mind, he's thinking that.
Oh man, I was a real awakening moment for me of just like, oh wow, I really equate everything back to hockey, but that's me, right? That's my life. That makes sense for me. And I'll finish on this thought too. There's never been a high level athlete, like a really high level athlete whose parents went, yeah, they're great at tennis, but I really wanted them to be a hockey player. This is so disappointing. Like that doesn't happen in real life. So I am going to wrap it up there. Sheri, you said this was a wonderful conversation. You've been a wonderful guest.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you coming on, especially so early. And again, we don't take it for granted when members of NHL teams come on the show. It's a privilege for us. So thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thanks, guys. This was great. Great show. Keep it up.
Thank you. That's going to do it for this episode of Our Kids Play Hockey. For Christy Casciano-Burns, Mike Benelli, and Sheri Hudspeth, I'm Lee Elias. We'll see you on the next episode. Remember, all the episodes, OurKidsPlayHockey.com. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you soon. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. Make sure to like and subscribe right now if you found value wherever you're listening, whether it's a podcast network, a social media network, or our website, OurKidsPlayHockey.com. Also, make sure to check out our children's book, When Hockey Stops, at WhenHockeyStops.com. It's a book that helps children deal with adversity in the game and in life. We're very proud of it. But thanks so much for listening to this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey, and we'll see you on the next episode.